Humbug, Merry Sithmas. Yes, I love this shirt, folks. My wife got it for me a couple of years ago for Christmas as a set of PJs. She always gets those new PJs. Myself, my daughter, and herself. And anyway, little Christmas tradition. We might be looking at a new Christmas tradition today. I am the Mighty Plantain, and this is Dogfish Head's IPAs for the holidays 12-pack. 4 different Dogfish Head IPAs. Now, we've got the 60-minute IPA, 90-minute Imperial IPA, and 61 IPA, and this Viniferous IPA. Now, it says here, these are 12-pack exclusives. I swear I've had the 61 before. Maybe it's only available in this 12-pack right now. Viniferous sounds like a brand new one. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I couldn't be more excited about the 60-minute and the 90-minute. I love the 90-minute. I mean, don't get me wrong, the 60-minute's great, but the 90-minute is like one of my favorite perfect IPAs. The 120 from Dogfish Head is incredible as well, but it can, depending on the year and the vintage, it can kind of go both ways on you. It's always a great beer, but sometimes it's a little too much, sometimes it's not. It's always a good experience. Buy at least one every year if you can. They're like $9 or $10 for a 12-ounce bottle, but the 120-minute IPA is always worth it. The 90-minute is a little pricey for a 4-pack. It's not available in 6s, only 4s. I think it's like somewhere between 15 and $20 depending on where you buy it. But let me tell you something, folks. It's the only 4 beers you'll need that night. I mean, for most folks. Some of us are a little more conditioned to the high ABV beers than others, but yeah, a 4-pack of the 90-minute still has got me feeling pretty good by the end of the night. So for most people, it's a great value. Anyway, enough about that. I have lined these up by the IBUs, so I believe I know I'm going to be doing the Viniferous first. I believe that the 61 is second, the 60-minute will be third, and 90-minute will be fourth. Now, I'm not 100% sure on the 60 and the 61. I might have those backwards. But here's the dangerous part of this. I believe that they're also going higher in ABV as the IBUs increase. So that could be a dangerous strategy. Normally you want to start out with your higher ABV beers earlier in the evening and work your way down to the lower ones so you can better gauge and pace yourself, but I am doing this opposite because even though I'm cleansing with water in between beers, you don't want to drink your higher IBU beers before your lower. It can really wreck your palate. Like, you wouldn't want to drink something like Stone's Ruin 10, which has really high IBUs and is nothing but a mouthful of hops. It's good beer, by the way. But you wouldn't want to drink that before you drink a Bud Light. Or maybe you would, because the Ruin 10 would completely destroy your taste buds, and you wouldn't be able to taste anything else afterwards. So that's a bad comparison, but you wouldn't want to drink a Stone Ruin 10 and then drink any other beer that you actually want to taste afterwards for at least 3 days. Ruin 10 is rugged, and it's awesome. But enough about other breweries' beers. Let's talk about the Dogfish Head's IPAs. Viniferous IPA. This one's at 6% ABV, and it's brewed with grape must, hence the Viniferous. So this could be a very interesting combo. And I thought I had the IBUs listed on here, but apparently I do not. Either that or it's there, and I'm just not seeing it. But that's alright. I'm pretty sure this is the lowest IBUs in the pack. So, ooh, it's quite effervescent. There's not much of a head on it, but you could hear it bubbling as I was pouring it, and there's a lot of bubbles down in there. It's actually acting a lot like a soda or a cola or a tonic, depending on what part of the country you're from. There's more than a handful of bubbles coming up from that nucleation point in the bottom of the glass, and there's a lot of bubbles suspended in the beer, which I don't come across that often. Usually I see all the bubbles float to the top and not stay suspended within the beer, so that's kind of cool. The little bit of head that I did have on there is fading. So I'm still calling this one pretty effervescent based on the number of tiny, tiny little bubbles that I'm seeing coming up through there, even though they don't seem to be gathering as much into a head on the top of the beer. It is cloudy, which could have something to do with the grape must, or it could be hop oils in there. Either or. And it's quite pale. It's quite pale. But really cloudy. Man, there's tons of itty-bitty little bubbles. The lighting in here isn't that great, so I don't know if you can see it, and the bubbles are really tiny, so I'm going to shove this right up against the camera lens, and hopefully you can make out that detail. But if you can't, I'm sorry, you got to buy the 12-pack and find out for yourself. Hey, by the way, before I forget, TJM, I believe it was you who suggested I pick one of these up. I hope I'm not wrong about that. I really need to get back to keeping a running list of who made the suggestions in the comments, because I misplaced that notebook and I haven't been really good about it. So, I'm pretty sure it was TJM. If it wasn't, I'm sorry to who did suggest it, but thank you for the viewer suggestion on this. I always try to get around to viewer suggestions if it's something that's available in my area. So, and, you know, it's an excuse to drink Dogfish Head beers, so. Oh, you can definitely smell that grape must. Oddly enough, grape must tends to have a musty cellar aroma, for me, anyway. I mean, there is some fruitiness to it as well, but there is a bit of a pleasant mustiness. And I'm getting some earthy notes as well. It's got a nice medium mouthfeel. Got some musty, earthy, and dank flavor to it. Oh, yeah. That's good. Mostly musty, earthy, and dank. I'm not really getting much else out of it. Don't get me wrong, it's got a nice backbone to it. There's nothing detracting from it. And it is bringing up flavors that I don't tend to key in on from the hops. And I'm sure that the grape must is lending to some of these as well. But that musty, earthy dankness is something that I don't always pick up in IPAs. In most IPAs, I'm keyed more towards pine and citrus. So I'm always impressed when I pick up on something else. So I'm really liking this one. I'm going to hit that with a 4 out of 5 rating. And it's disappearing quick because it's nice and smooth, and I am getting some nice crispness in the finish to it. This would be great in the summer, on a hot summer day, as well as right now in the colder months. Dogfish Head's one of those breweries that doesn't tend to release beers off-season, so every single one of these is probably going to be a pretty decent winter beer in addition to being a nice solid IPA. I already know that the 60 and the 90 are, because I've had them plenty of times before, but we'll pretend that's not the case here, right? Or it's too late for that, so I guess we're not pretending. So there won't be too many surprises in this pack. This Viniferous IPA is a surprise, though, because it is a new beer for me. It's pretty damn good. And again, it's an IPA that's given me flavors that I don't usually key in on from IPAs. So I'm rambling a little bit on this one. Solid 4 out of 5 from me. I'm going to finish it up and move on to the next beer. I believe it'll be the 61, but it could be the 60. Alright, so it turns out that 61 should be the next one. It's actually 0.5% lower in ABV, but it's 10 IBUs lower. So 10 IBUs, not a huge difference between 61 and 60 minute, but 50 versus 60. It's enough to put this one ahead just slightly. Even though, again, the ABV is higher on the 61 by 0.5%. It's 6.5 on this versus 6% on the 60. But anyway, that's enough about that. I had to double check my numbers. Let's get the 61 cracked open. I did not double check to see if I have had the 61 before. It sounds so familiar. It does say here that it's an exclusive to this 12-pack, and I have to admit, whatever the other Dogfish Head beer I'm thinking of about the 61 did not have this very interesting purple color to it. I don't know, do they have another 60? Now they've got the 60 minute, they've got this 61. Is there another beer with some iteration of 60 in the name from Dogfish Head? I'm going to have to look that up, because I swear I've had 61 before, but I don't remember having quite such a purplish beer. Pinkish purple. Puce. Puce pop. Do you get that reference? I'll give you a hint. Dudley Moore. Anyway. Right time of the year for it, too. Fairly effervescent, but it has a lovely and unique color. Same as before with the Viniferous. There's a lot of tiny, tiny little bubbles coming up through there. But I am just loving the color. Maybe slightly, just very slightly cloudy, but just a unique color. Not just the beer itself, but the bubbles in the head are actually taking on some of that pinkish purple color. It's beautiful. Love it. Maybe a slightly fruity aroma with an underlying hint of hoppy bitterness, but no specific notes to the hoppiness there. There's an overall fruity aroma. Maybe berry fruity. A bit of a berry aroma. A bit of a medium mouthfeel. It's got this very crisp, refreshing flavor in the finish, which is just like I was getting from the Viniferous. It goes down smooth. It's like this overall hoppy bitterness. A bit of earthiness to it. Hints of floral in the finish. And some tart fruitiness in the middle there, with a hint of sweetness. So, comes on earthy. You get a bit of a tart, sweet fruitiness, and sweet and tart at the same time. Very subtle, though, fruitiness as you're swallowing it. And then in the finish, some floral notes come through. Whew, pardon. It's quite an interesting and complex beer. A marriage of fruity complexity and pungent hoppiness. This is our continually hopped IPA, brewed with Syrah grape must. Okay, so another beer with grape must in it. That explains a lot of what I was getting out of this, because I was thinking it was very similar to the Viniferous, but like a little more complex. well, maybe not more, but just differently complex. So I could hit this one with a 4 out of 5 as well. It's a really nice, decent beer. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm going to finish this up, probably faster than I should, and we will move on to the 60-minute IPA. Alright, so now we are at the 60-minute IPA. And it says here, this continuously hopped, super fantastic East Coast IPA brewed with a slew of great Northwest hops. Sorry, the colors on the label got the crappy lighting in here make it hard to read. For a powerful but balanced citrusy hop character. Now, the 60-minute and the 61 have both mentioned a continuously hopped process. This basically means that during the 60-minute boil for the 60-minute IPA, and I don't think the 61 has a 61-minute, but I could be wrong about that. The 90-minute definitely does have a 90-minute boil, and the 120-minute that's not in this pack has a 120-minute boil. But the 60, 90, and 120 all mention being continuously hopped. The 61 mentions it as well, but it doesn't mention a time frame. So maybe it's the 61 minutes, maybe it's not. There is also a 75-minute IPA, by the way. That's one of the ones I was getting confused with 61, but I have had 61 before, so it is not new to this pack. Although the Viniferous, which might not be new to this pack as well, is also new to me. Wow, okay. Did you make sense of any of that? Because I did. But only because it's straight in my head after going around a little bit. Anyway, back to my original point. The 60, 90, 120-minute IPAs mention as well as the 61, mention a continuously hopped process. Now, this is something that I haven't seen anywhere outside of Dogfish Head. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments of the email link down below. I don't believe any other breweries are doing this. The continuously hopped process means that during the entire boil, a 60-minute boil for the 60-minute IPA, 90-minute boil for the 90-minute IPA, 120-minute boil for the 120-minute IPA, they are continuously adding fresh hops to the beer during the boil. This was originally done with an old, one of those magnetic, maybe not magnetic, but one of those vibrating football game boards. You know, you used to plug it in, put the batteries in, and put the little players on it and turn it on, and then these magnetic, the whole board would shake and the players would move based on the shaking. They used to use one of those and just drop hop pellets onto it continuously to slowly shake them into the beer during the boil. Now they have a machine specifically made to drop hops continuously into the beer during the boil. It's called Sir Hops-A-Lot. But that's what the continuously hopped process means. It's hops continuously added to the beer during the boil, and in some cases the name of the beer, 60-minute, 90-minute, 120-minute, denotes the length of time that it's boiled, and they use a machine specifically made by Dogfish Head to do that. I think it's a process unique to the brewery, but I'm not sure. And the prototype for Sir Hops-A-Lot, the machine that adds the hops to the boil continuously, was a vibrating football game board. Okay, hopefully that's all straight now. Let's talk about the 60-minute IPA, because I've been yakking quite a bit beforehand. So I might have had a few beers before I filmed this review, by the way, but always continuously cleansing with water to avoid interfering with my taste buds. Slightly cloudy and slightly effervescent. It is a very pale but slightly orangish yellow beer compared to the others that we've had so far out of this pack. Way less bubbly, a little more cloudy, and a little more neutral in aroma. Not getting much of an aroma, just a slight hint of an overall hoppy bitterness to this one. But nothing very specific popping out at me. Nice medium mouthfeel. Big punch of hoppy bitterness up front. Now, if I inhale through my nose while I'm sipping, I'm getting an earthy aroma. Pardon. And hints of pine and floral in the finish. So, Whew. The hiccups have been coming and going all night. Pardon. I'm going to try and stifle the... That was an embarrassing noise. Two things that cause hiccups, folks. A dry throat and a fluctuating diaphragm. That's according to a couple of scientific articles I've read. And dry throat is not a problem with the amount of beer I've been consuming tonight. So, regulating your breathing and fixing that fluctuating diaphragm is the only other way to fix them. I think the hiccups are gone for now. So, until I cleared my throat. Hopefully I don't start coughing. Nice, smooth, medium mouthfeel IPA with a lot of... Boy. In between this and the 90, I will definitely be trying to clear these hiccups because this is getting annoying. Alright, they're obviously not going to clear while I'm doing this, so I'm going to try and speed through this, and I will try to kill the hiccups off camera. So, earthy notes up front with floral in the finish. In keeping with the theme with the other two beers, it is very fresh and crisp. But yeah, earthy and floral. Again, hop esters that I'm not typically keyed towards coming forward, so it's definitely impressing me. It's not got as unique of a character as the other two, because I do get earthy and floral notes from other IPAs, just not as much as I do pine and citrus. So with this one being less unique in overall flavor and experience, I'm going to put it at a 3.5 out of 5. Now, bear in mind, on a scale of 1 to 5, a 2.5 is average. So a 3.5 is pretty above average to begin with. So this is a very decent, well-rounded IPA that's giving me two of the hop esters that I don't normally pick up on. It's just not quite... Hiccups and yawning. Wow, I am a winner tonight. It's just not quite giving me as unique or different an experience as the previous two beers did. So, still at a 3.5 out of 5, which is a damn well above average rating for a damn good beer, but not quite on the level with the other two from this pack so far. So, I am going to finish it up, and as I said, I'm going to try and kill these hiccups off camera because apparently my normal methods are not working as quickly as they usually do tonight. And when I come back, we'll do the 90-minute IPA, Imperial, 90-minute Imperial IPA, and close out this 12-pack. Alright, so I did manage to get rid of the hiccups, and we are down to the last beer in this pack. This is the 90-minute Imperial IPA. Our continuously hopped, there's the third beer in this pack that does that. Imperial IPA, whose powerful malt backbone stands up to the extreme, hopping, rare for a Stream hopping. Okay, yep. Rare for a pungent, not crushing hop flavor. I guess that the language on the label didn't flow quite right for me right now. Maybe a bit inebriated. Okay, more than a bit if I'm being honest. The 90-minute IPA. Oh, yes. I'm not expecting any surprises here. It's a fairly effervescent. Oop, I might have gotten too aggressive on the pour. Which is always why you see me putting a crappy head on a beer. I'm always being overly cautious on trying to avoid this, which is the close to overflow that tends to happen if I get too aggressive. So I guess I go too far the other way. Anyway, somewhat pale, copper-colored, and slightly cloudy, but quite effervescent IPA. The appearance is awesome. I love that cloudy copper color. It's not as unique or as impressive as the Viniferous or the 61, but it still has a beautiful color to it. Similar to the 60-minute, just fairly neutral aroma. I am not getting much off of the aroma. Just an overall hoppy bitterness, maybe. But this is an Imperial IPA, and it does come in at 9% ABV, so that's a bit of a jump. The highest so far in this pack has been 6.5, so... It's got that slight booziness that an Imperial should, but it's mostly got a sweet character to that booziness, which is very interesting. Most Imperial IPAs just taste boozy up front, but this is an extremely smooth and slightly sweet booziness that just makes it go down so easy for a 9%. I mean, dangerously so. As I said at the top of the video, a 4-pack of the 90-minute IPA is all most people will need for the evening. It drinks so easy and so smoothly that you don't even realize that you're drinking a 9% ABV beer. I mean, this is like any average IPA. I mean, it actually is smoother and easier to drink than Shipyard. Shipyard, which is a local Maine brewing company. Shipyard's Monkey Fist, which is one of my go-to IPAs. That comes in at like 7.2% ABV. And this, pardon, actually drinks smoother and easier than that one, while being almost 2% higher in alcohol by volume. It's got that slight sweetness to it. It's got a very medium mouthfeel, medium heavy, I guess. It's got some great body to it. Smooth, easy to drink. I'm getting a little bit of pine, a little bit of citrus, a little bit of floral, a little bit of earthy. I'm getting a very well-rounded IPA, but I am also getting a slightly sweet experience off of that, and a hint of fresh grassiness, some dankness. It's just so well put together that you wouldn't even know that it comes in at 9%. It drinks like maybe a 4 or 5% ABV beer. It doesn't have that smooth, or, I'm sorry, it does not have that crispness to the finish, but it is extremely smooth. I mean, this is one of my go-to IPAs. And while I wouldn't say it has as much of a distinct, well-rounded, and hop-forward character as the aforementioned Monkey Fist or Sam Adams's, let's say, New England IPA, because honestly, Rebel's great, the Rebel IPA, but New England has kind of supplanted that as my favorite. Boston, or, sorry, not Boston Brewer Company, Boston Beer Company, but Sam Adams IPA, New England IPA, has really supplanted their Rebel. But Rebel's still got a very respectable showing. Stone's Go-To IPA. I mean, I'm mentioning a bunch of other really great IPAs because those all pretty much score a full 5 out of 5 for me, and so does Dogfish Head's 90-minute IPA. Not because it tastes like the others, but because it provides such a well-rounded, well-balanced, hop-forward experience while giving me a 9% ABV beer that doesn't taste like a 9% ABV beer. It is still one of my go-tos for a good, solid IPA experience and something that's going to get me through the night with a minimal number of beers. So Dogfish Head's 90-minute IPA, Sam Adams's New England IPA, Sam Adams's Rebel IPA, Shipyard Brewing's Monkey Fist, pardon, and 21st Amendment's Brew Free or Die. Those are 5 of my top IPAs overall, and they all score a fully perfect 5 out of 5 for me. This is one of them. And I guess I just have been going on and on about this because I feel the need to justify that ranking. Although I shouldn't, because the beer speaks for itself. So, maybe it's just a side effect of me being inebriated at this point. But let me hear from you down in the comments section, and email link down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this 12-pack as a whole, the individual beers themselves. We've got a 4 from the Viniferous. We've got a 4 from 61. We've got a 3.5, the 60-minute IPA, and the full perfect 5 out of 5 for the 90-minute IPA. Not because of anything unique, different, or stand out about it, but because in its well-rounded and overall experience for that particular beer, it's perfect as far as I'm concerned. But again, that's just my opinion on these beers. Hit me up down below in the comments, in the email link, like I said before. I'd like to hear what you have to say about these beers, whether you agree, disagree. You got anything to say about anything I've mentioned during this video. I've mentioned a couple of beers from other breweries. I've mentioned a lot of other shit. Matter of fact, I think there's been more commentary on this video than there should be from me. But let's hear from you. Hit me up down there. While you're at it, don't forget to like and share the video, and make sure to subscribe to the channel. Until next time, folks, thanks for tuning in. Cheers. And happy holidays. Merry fucking Sithmas.